Hey, in this video, I'm going to show you my favorite copywriting tips and techniques for writing conversational email scripts for advisors. My name is Sky Richardson, Senior Content Strategist and Copywriter. And in this video, I am going to actually pull up on my screen a traditional email that a financial advisor would send, one that we see all the time in the industry. And I'm going to show you some of the specific reasons why it doesn't work and why the typical way, the way that 99% of advisors are writing email copy is ineffective for getting appointments as an advisor. But not only that, I'm going to show you actually how we can then turn that around and turn it into an effective email script that actually gets appointments on your calendar. So let me go ahead and pull up here on my screen here. I've got this traditional email script. And this is just an example here, and this is an email that was sent out during the first round of stimulus payments, or one of the first rounds of stimulus payments during the pandemic. And that was a critical time for financial advisors. If you remember, there's a lot of uncertainty, and so sending an email out to clients and even prospects could be an effective way to really kind of build trust with them. The problem that we saw and that we continue to see anytime there's a big happening in the financial world, whether it's a new tax reform bill or whether it is a stimulus payment or something like that. The problem is that most of the emails advisors send out simply don't work. And this is a good example. There's nothing terrible really about the copywriting inside of this email. Technically, the copywriting is actually pretty good. The problem here is that the email is overwhelming. And there's a lot of friction that prevents prospects from actually engaging with this content. So while there might be some good information hidden inside of this email, the problem is most prospects, most people on the receiving end of an email like this are going to look at it and they're going to become overwhelmed. All they see is a bunch of numbers and they see a bunch of big paragraphs here, and they don't actually read it. They might skim it if you're lucky, but most people, they're going to see this email, they're going to skim, they're going to look for a couple lines. They're going to say, this is a little bit too overwhelming. This doesn't apply to me. And they're going to go back into their inbox. And that is an incredibly ineffective use of our time to write emails like this, because it takes a long time to write an email like this. So what I want to show you is some of the reasons that this doesn't work before I show you some of the techniques you can use that will work. So in this traditional email script here, you'll just see there's big paragraphs is the big issue here. Okay, so you've got big paragraphs here. When people read an email or really any kind of online content, they're, whether subconsciously or consciously, typically it says subconscious, it happens on a subconscious level, they look at paragraphs and they view it as a commitment. And so when someone comes across a paragraph like this, so they read through this first paragraph and then they get to this point right here and they decide, do I want to read this next paragraph? And the brain actually does a calculation inside and on a neurological level, and it says, do I want to commit to this? And if it appears too long and too dense, then the human brain, which really has a lowest attention span that we've had in a long time. I saw recently a statistic says the human attention span is less than 7 seconds now. So if it sees a big paragraph that it thinks is going to have to spend a lot of time focusing on and dissecting and analyzing, it's typically just going to say, I'll either skip it and move on to the next paragraph, or I might just skip this whole email altogether. It creates a layer of friction. So big paragraphs really deter individuals and prospects from reading your emails. So big paragraphs are a problem. The other thing that you'll notice in this email is there's no subheadings. There's nothing breaking up the text. It's just paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. And, that might work well in an essay. It does not work well in email copywriting. So you'll also notice there's no kind of visual relief either. Everything is just plain text, which is problematic. And then you'll notice there's a poorly worded call to action here at the end. Visit my website or call my office to book an appointment and we can discuss even more details. That actually puts the onus and the pressure on the prospect, the email recipient, to actually follow through on the call to action. We want to make it as simple as humanly possible for prospects to take action. And by saying visit my website, there's not even a website here, we're requiring them to then actually go find our website, or we're requiring them to call us to book an appointment, which again, just another layer of friction. There's nothing, sure, you can have people call to book an appointment, but there's easier ways that I'm about to show you that just make more sense. So that's the traditional email that we typically see advisors write. And obviously the actual content is going to vary based on what you're emailing prospects about, but I'm talking more stylistically, more formatting wise. This is the kind of email that you're typically going to see, and it's not very effective. So if you're sending emails like this with big paragraphs and no visual relief and very kind of cut and dry, and you're not getting results, maybe it's not that email as a medium doesn't work. Maybe it's that you need to shift your approach to writing email scripts so that you can get better results with it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm pulling up on my screen now another email script for advisors here on the right side. And we're going to call this the conversational email script. And what you're going to notice actually is that this is pretty much the same email. It's probably 95% of the same copy as this email on the left side of my screen. All I've done here is I've used some of my favorite copywriting tricks to turn it into a much more effective version of it, one that's actually generated appointments for advisors. We've actually given this script to some of our advisors in the past when the stimulus package was going out, and it generated real appointments for advisors. And so I want to show you kind of some of what we're going to do here is just kind of deconstruct. Why does it work? What's effective? And how does it differ from this traditional one that you see over here? And so let's look at that. And I think the best place to begin is with the subject line. We didn't really talk about the subject line necessarily over here on the traditional one, but it's very boring and bland, just explaining the stimulus package. But what you'll see here is it says, here's what to expect in your stimulus package, and it has a little emoji here of a gift. And it's just a very conversational subject line. You'll notice that this is actually very intentional, that the first letter is not capitalized. And the reason why is if your emails look very perfect in sentence case, it looks very much like someone has sent here and combed over it and had it send it to an editor and before sending it off, which appears very much, business-like, very editorial. And we want our emails to look like they're coming from a friend. We want to act like we're sending emails to a friend, to an individual that we know. And by not capitalizing the first letter, it's just a small little casual element that you might have in an email that you send to a friend or something. So that's actually a very intentional decision there. And you can use that with a lot of subject lines. So, and then here's another thing that we're going to do. We're going to personalize this. We're going to say, hey, and we're going to put the first name tag. All this is in our email platform that actually will turn that into whatever the first name of the contact is. But just for the purposes of this, I can say something like, hey, Mary. And that's what it'll look like for each individual contact. And then you can see this is actually the same paragraph as we have over here. But then notice very quickly what we start to do is we start to create subheadings. So this says what's inside and question mark, and it's bolded. And all this does is it creates a little bit of a subheading to break it up. And it's going to tell people, okay, I know what this section is going to be about. It's going to tell me what's inside this relief package. And then it goes on and it does. It mentions here, while this relief package contains some similar features as the previous one, it also has plenty of unique elements. Okay, that was a very short sentence. I could read that without having to commit to anything. And then here you go. Here's another one. It's not even a full sentence. Here are the main ingredients with a colon. And then this is very important here. Bullet points are very effective when writing email scripts like this. And all we did here was, if you notice on the left side in the traditional email script, all of the same information is in here, but it's bunched up in one paragraph. And I see advisors do this a lot. They try to include too much in a paragraph. If you're ever mentioning a list of things, always break it out into bullet points like we have here. And it just helps each individual line stand out more rather than getting lost in a big chunky paragraph. So that's another tip there. Let's see what else here. So we've got more bullets here. You'll also notice that we have bolded certain sentences and words throughout this email. And this is just a visual trick to really help some of the copy stand out. And you can really draw attention to very specific elements of an email. So you can use bolded words, you can use italics, you can underline, you can use a combination, you can bold and underline, you can bold and italics. And so you can use a lot of different elements to draw attention to specific parts of your copy that maybe are important or maybe are parts that people are trying to scan for. So that's another good lesson there. And then you'll notice here also we have some kind of Q&A basically, right? What do I need to know? How should I use my payment? These are questions that people are asking, and we're going ahead and answering them. And we're giving value inside of our email. You know, a lot of times as advisors, we think we could give away too much value, but really you want to lead with value, and that people are going to trust that the stuff that you haven't told them is even more valuable. So lead with value, give them something tangible, and people are going to engage with your email copy more. And then also here, here's a good example of, we actually include a link to the calendar inside of this email so that for the call to action, people can just click here and they can go to your calendar link. You'll notice that this is bolded and underlined and in blue for the hyperlink. That draws attention to it as well. And then finally, there's a PS here with another call to action and some bolded font there. So that really is just almost the exact same email here on the right side, this conversational one, as we have on the left side here with the traditional one. But you can just see how the conversational email script here works a lot better. It's more digestible. You can skim it and still pick up the value in it. And really all it is we used a few tricks, some very small tricks. We broke up paragraphs. We included subheadings. We used bullet points. We used bold words in places to draw out stuff. We asked questions. We included a call to action directly with a link directly in it and made it a blue hyperlink so that people can see it easily. So that really is all it takes to take a traditional email that is super chunky and hard to skim, and we turn it into something that actually engages and resonates with prospects. So I hope you found that video helpful. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Let me know if you're already using any of these techniques, or if you have any more that you would suggest using, and let's all kind of crowdsource our ideas so that we can continue to write better email copy that helps with prospecting and helps us generate appointments. So thank you, and be sure to like and subscribe to this video for more great content for financial advisors.